Good morning from sunny South Florida. It's going to be a balmy 75 degrees here today. I'm coming to you on a recorded message, obviously, to say a few words on behalf of one of my dearest friends, Steve Ladley. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Terry Gifford, and I've been a friend of the family since the early 70s. Ina and I were in business together for several years with the Oxford Company, and I was like a member of the family. I can remember meeting Steve back in, 72 or 74, somewhere along in there. And he was just a bopping kid in high school and carrying his guitar around and being his hippie self. After I reflected on the past, I came across 2 or 3 times in my experience with Steve that really stood out in time. Steve had a couple of passions that we shared. One was the Kansas Jayhawks basketball team, and the other was barbecue. So I'll tell you a story about each. It was in the early 1970s, it was in 1988. Steve had come to Florida, and he was staying, I was living there, and he stayed with me, and I remember watching the championship, 1988 championship, when Kansas won the national championship. It was Danny Manning and the Miracles team. They were not supposed to win. They were a long shot, but they pulled it out. We watched it, and Steve and I were in North Palm Beach, Florida. Steve had come down here, and we thought we were going to be big shots and start a multinational t-shirt company. We even had a name and set up a business for it called Bimini Bay Traders. I don't know that we ever sold any t-shirts, but we certainly had a good time planning and dreaming and scheming about it, and most of our time was spent on my living room floor watching TV and trying to plan out how we were going to sell these t-shirts. In other words, we were waiting for the roast duck to fly in. Never did happen. Another experience with Steve comes all the way forward to 2015. I had just recovered from a bout with sepsis, almost died, and I just was out of the hospital one day, had planned to come up for a barbecue event, and I spoke with my wife and I said, I don't think there's any way I can go. And she says, well, if you expect me to take care of you and just lay around here, you may as well go to the barbecue thing and lay around. And so I flew into Kansas City. Matt McDavitt and Steve met me at the airport, and we ended up winning 5 different categories at the barbecue competition at St. Elizabeth Smoking in Waldo. So those were some really good experiences. I used to travel back and forth to Kansas City quite frequently and try to see Steve and Ina and the rest of the family. I can remember one other time that Steve and Lucy and Nell came to visit me in Florida, and they spent a couple of days, and we had a marvelous time. But I often stayed with Steve and Lucy when I would come to Kansas City. They were very gracious. I'll miss Steve very much, but as you might be able to tell, his spirit is still with me. I hope you all have a wonderful day, sing a lot of songs, enjoy the time together, and reflect on Steve's life. I love you all.
Love you from Kathy and Terry in Stuart, Florida. Our hearts and prayers are with you all.